Hey, everybody, welcome back to the program. I'm here with Erik Hynes, a South Shore restaurateur, and I like to call him Route 3 South. Erik, how are your restaurants? We know Stockholders, we know 42 North, and the other two I never
Yeah,
Precinct
yeah.
10, and the one in
You
Quincy
forgot this.
is
Yeah,
Bay. I
always
always
forget
forget
this
the
one.
Quincy
It's
one.
Bay Point. We call it Bay Point. I mean, the long name is Bay Point Waterfront Restaurant in Quincy. Right inside a marina off of Route 3A near the Four River Bridge. Awesome, awesome summer spot.
Yeah. And how are they going? Are they doing well? You're back. We're getting more capacity starting Monday. Today's Saturday. So how are you guys doing without the 40%?
Uh, it's been as good as can be expected. The two winter restaurants, primarily, especially stockholders, because it's been there for 11 years. Doing a ton of takeout. Even way back in March, people transitioned to takeout almost seamlessly. And we had some adapting to do because we were never set up as a takeout restaurant. We're a dine-in restaurant. So we had to play with ordering. How many containers do we need? How many bags do we need? Things like that. And we got the processes down pretty quickly, just out of necessity because of the volume of calls. So way back in March, stockholders did well. Picked up a great amount of takeout, and then as soon as we were allowed to open for a portion of indoor dining again, which was early June, it took off running. Honestly, I mean, not 100% capacity by any means, but we found that there were still a significant amount of people, even in June, that were willing to dine out. And at stockholders, I've seen that trend continue as we've gone further and further into the pandemic, even with restrictions going on, to the point where we have long waits because we just can't accommodate that many people. So stockholders has been great in that regard. Precinct 10 in Weymouth took a little bit longer to get going. I mean, that one's really not a takeout restaurant, or it wasn't. So we stayed closed there all the way until June, and didn't
Wow.
even try takeout. And then obviously, it's no windows, it's dark, it was designed to be a fall winter restaurant. So opening back up in June is not the best option. But again, people were sick of staying home.
Real quick on that, Erik, if you don't mind. Real quick on the Precinct 10. You mentioned there's no windows, there's no light. Why is that? Because I've been to Precinct 10, and it sounds dreary when you put it that
Yeah,
way, but it's really a great place. Like I totally vouch for it.
yeah.
So what was the idea about you getting a restaurant there in that particular spot?
Yeah, so it was completely intentional to take the windows out and make it darker. Every restaurant that we do is different. We're not, we don't, rubber stamp, the same thing over and over again. So
Right.
we basically get a location that works for us, and then we decide what kind of restaurant works best there. So where we're located in Weymouth, it's a great physical location. It's right off Route 3. It's right on Route 18 at the intersection of 53. I mean, there's like 700 parking spots. So physically, it's a great, great location. The bad part is it's in a strip mall that is very bland. Being in a strip mall is always difficult, but it's very bland. We're the anchor there. It's not like we're next to like a market basket or anything like that. So, and next to a McDonald's, of course. So we had to,
Of course. Who
yeah,
isn't though?
we had to remind people that, don't focus on the outside. When you're sitting inside, we don't want people to be reminded that we're next to a McDonald's or in a dreary strip mall. So we decided to take the windows out. And I think, as I told you before, once you do that, you're one of, three places. You're either a Chinese restaurant or a strip club or a speakeasy, because
Win-win-win, if you ask me. But yes,
we
that's
could have been
fine.
all three, I suppose. But
It's
um,
right. Who knows? Who
yeah,
knows?
but we went the speakeasy direction, and anyone that knows the history of Prohibition back in the 20s, they were secret bars. It was almost like a very unassuming locations. Either they were tucked into the back of a retail store or in a basement or a place that's out of sight, out of mind. So we took the windows out, so you can't see in, you can't see out. And then we went that whole kind of speakeasy route with plush, red velvet seating and black leather and and things like that to make it kind of cozy, and so it was completely intentional.
Yeah. And you have when does live music start? I know it's a while, but you had live music there after what, on the weekends after 10 or something? I don't know exactly, but
Yeah,
you
so
you know better than I would. So what?
I have to try to remember. It's been so long since we had it.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, so we,
But it
we
was a
have a
lot of fun.
DJ.
I just know people lined up.
No, it was great because there's really
Yeah, yeah,
no place to go on the South Shore for outdoor, or not outdoor, but for entertainment and for dancing and late night. So after dinner on Fridays and Saturdays, usually around 9 or 10, we have a DJ. So most restaurants on the South Shore, you tend to serve dinner and then close up and go home and do lunch the next day. But we figured let's give people an option for a place to go after dinner, whether it's you had dinner with us or you had dinner somewhere else, or you just want to go grab a drink and dessert or just dance. So we're open till 1 a.m. and it became a great fun time. And we noticed it was a very diverse crowd. I mean, it wasn't a bunch of 20-year-olds looking to cause problems. Quite the contrary. I mean, it catered towards I would say the bottom demographic of age was probably 30s up to 60s and beyond. So it was great to see people from different backgrounds and age groups dancing together.
yeah. And that's open now, correct? You open all four of your
Yeah,
restaurants?
so everything's open now. Like I said, Precinct 10 reopened in the summer, which is not its busy season, but that gave us time to reacclimate, which is great. And now that we're back into the fall winter, it's picked right back up. The inside's doing well. Takeout even is doing really well. The only problem with Precinct 10, the reason why it's on the slower side numbers wise for us from a business perspective, is because we don't have the bar. The bar was jammed before. It was like the social center of the restaurant. So when you lose that, it's tough. And then obviously there's no entertainment. So we're hoping to get that back. I would hope maybe the fall, but it's anybody's guess at this point. But all four restaurants are open.
Okay, and now that Monday goes up to 40%, what how do you feel about that? Because you held a give me a little background on the is it an alliance you formed? You brought in the Endelman brothers. If you don't mind, talk before we get to the other two restaurants. Talk
Yeah.
about that a little bit, or would you rather talk about the other two first? It's really 6 of one, or whatever you want to do.
No, let's just we'll talk about this. I mean, I think it's important. So, once the virus came on the scene back almost a year ago in March, early March or mid March, everyone was a little bit put off by it, scared, not really knowing what it was, and so the governor initially announced a 2-week shutdown. Of non-essential businesses. Restaurants were still deemed essential as a food source, so we were allowed to do takeout. But I think we were allowed to do takeout the first couple of weeks. I can't remember, but at some point in March we were doing takeout. But it was a 2-week shutdown of things, and until we figured out what this virus was, and I think everybody was on board with that, just try to figure out what the hell's going on. And then after that, it rolled into early April, mid-April, late April, early May, and we're all, the restaurant owners and other people are saying, what's going on here? We were told 2 weeks and it keeps getting extended. And I think none of us could have predicted it would drag on a year. But around May, we just started saying, what is going on here? Like, this is ludicrous because, Walmart's open and packed, and liquor stores, you can go to a liquor store. Liquor stores were never, ever restricted. You could go to a liquor store and get whatever you want during this whole pandemic. Big box stores, grocery stores. I mean, there were essentially what we saw. There were two sets of rules, and they were playing by one set, and we were playing by a second set that was much more restrictive. And based on the numbers pertaining to the virus in terms of percentage of people who died, got sick, were hospitalized, had symptoms. I mean, we all followed this very closely. We thought that it doesn't make sense for restaurants to be taking the brunt of the restrictions and loss of business when these other entities and businesses can remain open. It just didn't. It was apples and oranges. And restaurants are among the safest businesses that there are because by nature, we serve people food. So we're heavily regulated by, towns and the state with regards to things like health inspections and special certifications we have to have in training. We're pros at sanitization and cleanliness. We have those companies already in place that work for us. So we were set up to be, I don't want to use the word successful, but to get through a pandemic or any kind of, health scare because we're health focused every day. Yet the state did not see it that way. They saw us as dangerous spreaders of the virus where people gather and congregate, with no facts behind that at all. So they hammered down on restaurants, and it's been going on, for a year, and we saw it as not fair. So I know it's getting long-winded, but we essentially
No, it's
decided to
okay.
start a group of restaurant owners that saw this happening. And I worked closely with the Andelman brothers from Phantom Gourmet because they have such a long and wide reach of access to restaurant owners from across the state, not just Boston, but everywhere. Um, and we quickly formed a kind of an alliance of owners who said, "Hey, we need to get this thing lifted, and understand that we're just as safe as a Walmart or a liquor store or a grocery store where there are no restrictions, or at least they're not being enforced there." So we called on all the restaurant owners who agreed with us, and within like 2-3 weeks, we had like 700 restaurant owners in this group.
Wow.
And for people that are in the restaurant business, obviously our industry has the Massachusetts Restaurant Association already in place to advocate on our behalf. But our thought in forming this group was more can be done to fight back against the inequity with this than what the MRA was doing at that time. So we really pulled ourselves up by the bootstraps and did a grassroots organization to try to fight back. And in fighting back, we started with sending letters that were hand delivered to Lieutenant Governor Polito, advocating for our industry. And we said, hey, we know you have a reopening council comprised of owners and representatives of industries, that are across the state, including the restaurant industry. And we had asked to be included in that on that board. We wanted, 1 or 2 seats because we felt like members of our group in particular were better representative of the industry as a whole across the state. So we wanted our voices and our perspective to be heard, and just, hey, hear us out. We have great insight. We've been doing this a long time. We're from all corners of the state. And the answer, both times was nope. We already have a representative, one person. The MRA is also keeping us abreast of what's going on, and basically see you later. So that was tough. And from there, we did a lot with the media. That's even still ongoing today. But our story got out there in every outlet, both local and national, and trying to put the pressure on the state, all that. And again, that didn't work other than just try to, educate the public as to our thought process with this. But we fought back very, very hard against the state. We were not just going to sit back and take this on the chin. And although it was unsuccessful, I feel like I can sleep a little bit better at night knowing that, we at least attempted to do it.
Why do you think it's unsuccessful? Because when you put it the way you just did, I see it's hard to argue with you on that. Like
Yeah, the state,
I couldn't if I tried.
the
What
state
did they
doesn't
do that?
Yeah, the state doesn't like facts, so that's part of the problem, and it's all politics. I sound like a conspiracy theorist in saying that, but I don't know how you can look at the numbers, the scientific numbers, but also as it relates particularly and specifically to the restaurant industry, and come to the conclusion that we need to be banished. You can't come to that conclusion, and we're constantly told to follow the numbers, follow the science. So I do, and they just don't add up. It doesn't make sense. It was fear and panic, and hey, I'm the governor. You're going to listen to me, and bypass the legislature, bypassed experts within the industry, in the restaurant industry, and just took it upon himself to determine that I know best. He knows best, and here's what you're going to do, and tough. And the numbers didn't back him up.
So how does he get away with it? Because he's the governor?
Yeah.
Oh, all right, fair enough.
That simple.
So what made him decide to go up 40% come Monday? Where are the numbers heading there?
I mean, the 40% is completely arbitrary. I don't know why not 50% or 60% or 30%. No idea. Probably because, 50 seems too high. I don't know.
Yeah.
But according to the governor, in the past few weeks, we've seen a downtick in hospitalizations and, spread of the virus. But I don't know how that happens overnight like this. We've been fed nothing but fear and panic, and the hospital system's going to crash, and the sky is falling for a year straight. And to go into my conspiracy theory ways again, which I don't think they are, the first relenting of restrictions that we saw from the state came on the very first full day of Biden being in office. They didn't even wait an extra day or do it the day before. It was on his actual first day in office where they decided we're going to lift the curfew now because we're seeing the numbers decline. But if you do a little quick Google search, if less than 2 weeks prior to the easing of the restrictions on Biden's first day in office, it was like 10 or 11 days before, Mary Lou Sutters, who's the health secretary for the state of Massachusetts, who was always at the press conferences with the governor, you know, Google it. I mean, she's saying how dire the situation is in hospitals and we're being overrun. And then the Globe or Boston.com every single day would have a new doctor on the cover saying, we have to ban indoor dining. It's getting dangerous. Hospitals are being overrun. And I mean, covering all different hospitals. And that was within 10 days of the governor saying things are looking good. And I don't know how you can go from that sentiment, both from doctors and hospitals and the health secretary, saying that hospitals are being overrun, which I don't believe they were in the first place. But if they're telling us that, then I'll, fine, I'll take it at face value. How can you go from that and into, hey, things are looking good again? Because in between the time when hospitals were supposedly being overrun and the virus is spreading rampant and schools are closed, in between that period and the time that the governor announced that we're going to get rid of the curfew, I didn't hear one positive thing about COVID or the trends. It was always hold steady. The virus doesn't sleep. The virus doesn't discriminate. The virus is, I forget the terminology. It was something like respect the virus. It's like, okay. And then all of a sudden I wake up one day and everything's better. It doesn't make any sense. And it's on Biden's first day. And I said, all right, well, this is kind of crazy, but whatever. I mean, I guess it's, somewhat positive. But and then you look at that same week of Biden being in office. You see Washington, D.C. go from closed to open. You see Michigan, the whole state. You see Pennsylvania. You see California. You see New York. You see Chicago. All open. All of a sudden. What is that? That's not a coincidence.
So what happened?
Politics. It's all politics.
Yeah.
There's a reason why Amazon is, crushing it right now, and Walmart is crushing it right now. And, it's just, there was never a reason to restrict restaurants to the extent that they were in this state outside of, maybe the first several weeks or a month of April in March. But beyond that, the numbers didn't justify it. I mean, not to be callous, but if we're going to talk about the health side of things, I mean, yes, it's scary and no one wants to get sick, and nor would I want them to get sick. But we have to be able to walk and chew gum at the same time, and we have to live our lives and not live them scared. And that's what we've been doing for the past year. And the survival rate, I haven't looked at it, recently, but it's always hovered around 98, 99%, and the problem is we continued to make state and public policy as if, every day was March 17th, 2020. We never took the numbers along the way and adapted policy other than making it harsher, based on what we learned. And what we learned is the average age of death was always in the low 80s, upwards, got up to like 86, the average age of death, 98% or 99%, survival rate. I think it was 99.4. And then 98.2% had underlying severe health conditions. So we knew who was vulnerable, how it affected them. Do we know everything about the virus at that point? No, but we knew enough to know that we could adjust public policy and adapt. And that's what science is. You take data and you come to a conclusion. But we never did that. We never used the data other than just as a fear tactic the whole time. We never tailored things based on what we had learned. We should have protected the vulnerable people, elderly people, people with severe health conditions, and we should have been treated as adults, not children. We should have been treated as adults to make the best decisions. I have a mother who has severe underlying conditions, and that should be my job based on the collected data to take care of her, not the state's job. I don't expect my neighbor over here to have to lose his livelihood and his business and all that just because my mother is potentially going to get sick and have a problem from the virus. I should be the one to take care of that. But we were, forced to listen to the state the entire time, and it's been tough.
How long do you think it'll take to get to I don't even know if maximum capacity is the next step, but do they give you an outline as to what's next and what stages? Because we had stages before.
Yeah.
I think we went all the way to stage 4, right? So what are we starting over? Is this stage 6 now?
I don't
Like
know.
what?
So we're supposedly in stage 4 right now, which is the vaccine, but
Oh, okay.
we were told we could open again and go back to normal in stage 4. But they were never specific about what stage 4 meant, as far as I can remember. I knew it was linked to a vaccine, but I would have assumed, based on the deadliness of this virus that we were told, that it would have meant everybody has to be vaccinated. But that's not the case. Right now, Massachusetts is in the bottom tier of states for vaccinating people. The epicenter of health and science and education in this state is at the bottom of distributing the vaccine. I think we're like 47th or something. We're at the bottom. We're behind like
Wow.
Alabama and Mississippi. It's crazy. But now apparently, just because we have a vaccine in general, that it's okay to open again. And I don't buy it. I think it's because they got rid of Trump, and I didn't vote for Trump, but I think that's what it is. I think Biden's in, the Democrats are in. Now we need to fix the problem, fix the economy. Cuomo in New York, the governor, was always just about health and the virus, and like that's it. Forget restaurants, forget the economy in my state, even though he has a $60 billion deficit there and took a raise for himself personally at the same time and wrote a book and got an Emmy and hid numbers about how many people died in his nursing homes. Despite that, he's always focused on we're going to take care of the people. And now, as soon as Biden's in the first week, he says we're so concerned about the well-being of our restaurant industry in New York, even though he shut them down for a long period of time. We have to focus on the economy and jobs. And where was that sentiment the entire time? Why just right now? I mean, you're supposed to be leading. I mean, again, going back to the whole walking and chewing gum at the same time analogy, you should have been focusing on the virus, making policy based on the information you learn from it along the way, and also dealing with the economy at the same time. Like, you can't just totally get rid of one and focus on the other. Like, that's. But now apparently it's time to focus on the economy and jobs. Little too late.
Yeah, but to be clear, you're not biased politically. You're biased as a restaurant owner.
Yeah, but I do believe that there's politics behind this.
Oh, sure, but you're not a Trump Yahoo.
No.
That's just
no,
okay.
no.
Not that it matters, but I just want to be clear because people might take it that way, and I just
no, not at all, not at all. I come to my conclusion based on the data that's provided by the state with regards to the health metrics and where the spread is coming from. So if you go to the state puts out a weekly summary on their dashboard of aggregate data, and they've been doing it for a while now. And I haven't looked in the past couple of weeks, but there's always been a section buried on page 35 that tracks where the spread is coming from. They call it contact tracing, and Governor Baker from the very beginning touted the COVID contact tracing data as best in the country, and this is gonna help us so much, and we're gonna call people, and we're gonna interview people, and we're gonna figure out the root of where it's coming from. And so if he's gonna tout that as the best in the country, then I'm gonna use his numbers as factual and reliable. And if you use those numbers, like I said, buried all the way on page 35, you see that from restaurants, they linked only 0.3% of the positive cases to restaurants. That's not 3%. That's 0.3% of positive cases came from restaurants. And initially it started out at 0.5, 0.6, and then it steadily dropped. And it was always less than 1%. It's like, what's going on here? Why are we still being restricted then? Everything was restricted, and it didn't make sense. So he had said it, when he put one of his, restrictions in place, he had said that he was doing it because we had to stop mobility. This virus was spreading through, people being mobile. But again, using his own numbers, it's not true. It's not true. 95%, and that's a real number, at least when I looked last time, 95% of the spread of the virus was coming from places where, by definition, there is no mobility. So the 95% is made up of long-term care facilities, senior living facilities, prisons, and households. If you add just those four together, it equals 95% of the positive spread of the virus. And like I said, restaurants account for 0.3. Okay.
But they're offering prisoners early
Right.
release if they get the
Right.
vaccination.
So that was my problem with the restrictions. It's not me being callous. It's me, doing what a scientist would do, which was, collect data, analyze the data, and come to a conclusion. The state did not do that. They just doubled down no matter what. We have the data, which, I'm using the state's own data. It's not like I'm making up my own. Anyone can go and look this up, so they don't think I'm crazy, because I'm not. Go look it up yourself. But the problem is that the news outlets don't report it. The governor doesn't talk about it. And we just have to listen to the governor because he's bypassing the legislature and common sense. So I did the research myself, and it doesn't add up. So that's why I say it's political. And I think it is. If you look at all the other cities that opened up, and they were hardliners, we're not open, and they laughed at Florida for being open. They're going to kill people. And now all of a sudden, Florida's economy is doing great, and they have better health numbers with regards to COVID, by the way, than Massachusetts. Percentage of people that have died and all that. Florida is way better than Massachusetts.
That's true.
And New York. Go look it up. But they saved their economy while also managing the virus. Whereas in these other places that also, decided to open and ease up on restrictions, the week that Biden gets into office and not a day before, all of a sudden they have to focus on the economy too. It's time. And I don't know what's changed, because the numbers I've been looking at say that restaurants in particular should never have been restricted to the extent that they were. And anybody can find this information online. This is not me talking as a biased restaurant owner. This is me talking as a common sense human.
Fair enough.
Yeah, it's a lot of information. It's tough, It's been difficult.
You've done your homework. I've seen you on every channel that I have on my cable box. I appreciate the effort you went through, and it's too bad it wasn't successful. But
yeah, it's tough. I mean, I felt like it's stuff that needed to be said, and not a lot of people were saying it. Even now, I mean, with the reducing or the elimination of the curfew, I mean, there were a lot of restaurant owners that were grateful for that, and I'm laughing. I'm like that. Why? This is not good news. You've been locked down for no reason for a year. Your employees are out of work. Your business is suffering, and they were throwing a bone of, yeah, you don't have to force close at 9:30 anymore. Is it good news? Sure, but it's not really, because we should never have had a curfew. We should never have had a curfew in the first place. Obviously, and this is another reason why it's political. Any common sense person could tell you that when you close restaurants that follow the rules, and they have a stake in following the rules and restrictions, because if they don't, they lose their liquor license, so they have to. Anyone that could surmise and come to the conclusion that if restaurants and places that follow the rules close by mandate of the state, people are going to go to places that are unregulated, where they can continue to party and drink, like houses. Okay, that's what happened.
New Hampshire.
Anywhere. So that's common sense. And the fact they did it anyway is appalling, because that's exactly what happens. It's insane. It's absolutely insane. Meanwhile, by the way, real quick point about that.
Yeah,
Precinct 10, on the first weekend of being forced to close at 9:30 and everybody out of the building by 10, I'm leaving the restaurants, and McDonald's is open. Remember that McDonald's I told you about in the parking lot?
Yeah,
they were open.
Yeah.
They were open.
That's funny.
Yeah, that's what we're dealing with. It's insane.
Why weren't they affected? But what's the difference? I don't get it. I know you're a restaurant, tab, or whatever, and they're a fast food restaurant, but still, what's the difference? Why weren't they affected? Do you know?
Because of the drive-through.
That's the only reason?
As far as I know.
Oh, because it's contactless, so to speak?
Because you don't have to go in. But why weren't we allowed to do curbside then?
Yeah.
Curbside
you were in the summer.
Or delivery or whatever. I mean, at least let's play on an even playing field here. But no, the major corporations were unfazed by this. Not 100% unfazed, but much less, impacted than small businesses. That, not to mention small businesses, they have a stake in their communities. We all live here, right? So we're going to make sure our customers and our staff are well taken care of. We live here. We're part of the community. These corporations and box stores and places like that, they don't care. They don't care, but they were left to their own devices. crazy.
What percentage of restaurants in Boston do you think, or do you know, have closed because of this?
I mean, here's the thing. It's tough to tell. We're told right now that statewide about 25% of restaurants have permanently closed. But that's a deceiving number because eventually, once things go back to normal and we're able to open up again, we're going to see places just simply not open. And so the 25%, I don't think, in my opinion, I don't think it includes places that didn't make an official announcement. They didn't come out and say, we're sorry, we're closed. They didn't put it on Facebook. They just locked their doors quietly and walked away. And I think we're going to see the numbers rise if they decide to track that, in terms of the number of permanent closures, because there's just some that haven't reported it. But I went into Boston a couple weeks ago for lunch to see what was going on. And I was amazed at how many restaurants had papered up windows. All over the place. And it's just sad. It's not just about the owners. It's about the employees too. Anyone that works in the restaurant industry knows that it's like a work family. You spend so much time together. And to force these restaurants to close and put these employees onto a broken and delayed and corrupt unemployment system is not right. People are having a very difficult time getting the money that they deserve through unemployment because of the fraud that's going on. And this is what happens when you rely too much on the state to take care of you. It's busy phone lines, it's call centers that don't have the answers, it's delays, it's awful. And this is what happens.
Did you lose any employees? Not that you had to let them go, but did some people not come back? Did you have to lay it? Because you said you had 3 restaurants closed. Were you able to get everybody back, or had people moved on?
Yeah, so 2 of the restaurants, Bay Point and Quincy, and 42 North in Plymouth, we got those open pretty quickly. Okay. We started doing takeout again, like probably May or something. So obviously takeout is not the same as having customers in the building, but the employees had nowhere else to go. Every restaurant was facing this same level of restriction. So by the time we finally got open for seating in early June, we took as many back as we possibly could, and they were waiting. They couldn't wait to come back.
No pun intended.
Yeah, I know. But were there some that we simply couldn't bring back because of the limits on seating capacity? Yes. But we really focused on people that were full-time workers, people that maybe couldn't get unemployment for some reason, people with families, single moms. We really tried to focus on people that should be focused on. And, people that worked 1 shift a week, it's not like they're not important. They absolutely are. But, if we have to decide between someone that works 7 days a week and someone that works 1 day a week, decisions like that have to be made, and they're not easy decisions. We don't want to make them. We didn't want to lay off anybody, but we didn't have a choice. But now that we're open again, we're seeing most people come back. We've done our best to help them throughout the process. We had, we donated money. We donated food and supplies at the very beginning. Plus there are other entities out there that have been really helpful as well, with doing fundraisers and things of that nature. So, I think that's, all better alternatives than state unemployment.
Oh, absolutely. And we mentioned it's 42 degrees north, but those in the know call it 42 north, correct?
Yes. Or even 42.
Okay.
Those are the ones who are really in the know.
Or even 42.
Yeah.
All right. It's even better.
Well, I call
I hate long words.
P10.
42. Do you really?
Yeah. P10.
You're saving a whole bunch of time. That's awesome. I like that.
I need every minute. Got to fight back
against
the state,
Well, you have 6 more TV shows to do after this, so I totally get it.
No, it's Saturday. I have to work.
That's right.
Yeah.
I'm holding you up. Okay. So 42. I've been to stockholders. I've been to precinct 10. I told you that. I met you at precinct 10. At stockholders.
Coffee.
42. I need to. Oh yeah, please drink up. And that's not your third beer. That's actually coffee, correct?
Yes, that's coffee. I only drink.
Okay.
I drink water, coffee, and alcohol. That's it.
And sometimes at the same time, right? It's a big cup. It's a huge cup. Those watching YouTube, you can see the cup.
Yeah, it's not all mixed together in the cup. I drink them all separately.
Maybe it should be.
Yeah,
maybe it should be. Why not?
We're in the coffee.
You can serve it at precinct 10.
Yeah.
Precinct 10 would be happy to have it. It's a speakeasy.
Exactly.
But 42, I've never been. I'm going there this summer. if we're we are allowed. You're open. So
Yeah.
so tell me a little about 42 and why. Make a recommendation for me. I know everything's good, but what would you suggest for a
Yeah.
full course meal at 42 North? 42,
So,
sorry.
yeah, 42. So
But it's in Plymouth.
it is in Plymouth. It's down by Whitehorse Beach in the Manomet section, right off of 3A. So it's a little bit further down, but it's almost like a mini Bay Point. If anyone's been to Bay Point in Quincy, so we have the same outdoor deck, the same outdoor bar. It has that summer vibe to it. It's not on the water, but you would think that you were. You can smell the ocean because we're so close to Whitehorse Beach. We're not on the beach, but you can, it's like right down any of the side streets next to us. So we're open year round, but it's obviously a great summer spot. So we definitely focus on seafood, but we have a very diverse menu. Being in Plymouth, we bring in, fresh fish daily, like full fish, like huge fish that we fillet ourselves, like bluefish or striped bass or whatever the case may be. So the fish is really, really fresh. And the good thing about 42 is it's the smallest restaurant that we own. So unlike a Bay Point that seats 1 million people, at 42, we have the time to be a little bit more creative in terms of like plate presentation, really outside the box ingredients, things like that we don't have the luxury of doing at Bay Point. At Bay Point, we have to try to keep it as simple as we can because we have to get the food out quickly to serve so many people. So 42 is very seafood forward, unique, fun vibe. You have the outdoor dining. It's great. But I would do if you're going to go down there, any of the fresh fish that we do, our fresh fish offerings change daily depending on what the fishermen can get to us. So I would definitely go in that direction. You can't go wrong with a lobster roll or a baked stuffed lobster. Any seafood, but it's a really fun summer spot.
Yeah. And how's the deck work? Is that your home run in the summertime? Are you open late? Does the deck stay open later? Does it close earlier? In a perfect world, not now,
yeah,
of course.
It does. So same thing on like Thursday, Friday, Saturday. It's open late. Quincy and Bay Point, the deck out there is awesome because it's right on the ocean and it's beautiful. You have an amazing sunset out there, and we have entertainment. Out there as well. So we're looking forward to getting that going. And it's just a really fun atmosphere. Everyone's just in a better mood in the summer anyway. And to be outside, I'm looking forward to it. I mean, I hope that, we're allowed to go back to somewhat of a normal capacity as it approaches the summer. I don't see a reason why that wouldn't happen considering, restaurants should never have been restricted like this in the first place. And, we're told by the state that hospitalizations and cases are going down. So apparently, we have magicians working in the state house that can, make this thing vanish once Biden gets in. But so hopefully for all those reasons listed above, we can go back and have a fun summer.
And the Cape is a destination for people. It's not like it behooves the restaurants to be open for the state and the individual owners as well. So what do you think? If you had to guess, when would you be? I think you might have mentioned it earlier, but if you had to guess, when do you think you'd be at 100%? By the summer, because that just makes sense, or does nothing? It
depends, because normally I would have said, probably by the end of the year, but now that, surprisingly, I was actually, surprised that the governor in this state and in other places across the country decided to open things up, once Biden got in. I didn't think they would be so, cringe-worthingly, political and in your face about it. I thought they'd be a little bit more subtle, but they weren't subtle. Maybe, I guess that's just the nature of who they are. But I didn't expect them to open like that and start to relent as quickly as they did. Quickly being a relative term.
Yeah.
But, so now that we're starting to see that trend, I think it might be sooner. I'm hoping fall. Maybe the tail end of summer if the numbers keep going down. But I didn't see any sign of positivity in COVID. If we're using the state's, rhetoric, they kept, slamming us with the fear. And I said, well, we're all kind of screwed now. But all of a sudden it turned on a dime and we're good. Everything's looking great now. So who knows? It's anybody's guess. It's anybody's guess when we'll be allowed. But it all falls on the shoulders of one person, which is another issue. Bypassing the legislature, bypassing reason, bypassing industry experts. And so now we're just relying on one person to make a call.
Okay. And to get off that for 1 second, when does Erik Hynes open his fifth restaurant?
Huh. Well, I work, obviously with my father, Kevin, who kind of was the forerunner of all this, in the family in this industry. He's been doing restaurants since the early '80s, so he's owned a bunch of restaurants across the South Shore over the years. So it's funny, we were talking about this, over the past couple of months about, potential opportunity down the road. But I think, I don't want to give anything away, but there's a chance we could be doing something in the near term.
Erik, no one listens to the show, so you're not really giving anything away. You're just telling me. So between me and you and I, when does it open?
Honestly, that I can't answer. I don't know. But
you do have plans, though.
Yeah, we have plans to do something. It could be one of several different options, but there's a lot of things that act as roadblocks to that, because if anytime you're behind the scenes negotiating a lease, obviously it has to be mutually beneficial to the person that owns the property and the business owner who's going to be occupying it. So you can get hung up on a minor thing and then the whole deal goes away. So there's a lot of things that have to happen in order to get it to work. But I think now's a time where it is mutually beneficial for both parties, because landlords have empty properties that they need to fill right away as a result of these lockdowns. And, restaurant owners that have tried to manage finances appropriately might be able to get a better deal as a result that works for both the landlord and the restaurant owner. So it's about working together, and, hopefully we can get there, relatively soon. But you never know. We'll just have to wait and see.
But you can confirm that it won't be Route 3 north of Boston.
No. Only Route 3 on the South Shore, and never.
I keep trying; it doesn't work.
No, never North Shore, and never go over the bridge. That's rule 1 in restaurants.
Is that right? Why?
For us, anyway.
Why? I don't know. What? Tell me the rule. Can you? Is that a secret restaurant owner thing, or can you share that rule?
It's probably just our rule, but
okay.
Seasonality and
okay.
Gotcha. And there's so many variables. You're relying on tourism. You're relying on, which is not necessarily a bad thing, but if you have a bad tourist season, if the weather's bad, plus summer is very, very short here. So it's tough. You can make it down there. If you negotiate a solid, lease, or you happen to own the property or things like that, then it makes sense. But, for us, we do, usually pretty sizable, big restaurants, and we need to make sure that we can pack them, and you never know what's going to happen over the bridge.
So Quincy's the northest point you'll be, or are you close?
Yeah, I would say.
The Route 3 south bias really bothers me, because I grew up in the North Shore, and they would love you up there. They would love you up there.
Yeah, but I think, I don't know, I'm too Irish for that. It's all Italians up there.
Really?
Isn't it?
Stop it. It's everything. It's everybody.
I don't think Revere and Everett being like a haven for Irish people. Well,
you don't have to go to Revere. Revere's not even on Route 3. Route 3 is easy. You'll be fine.
Maybe I should.
I'll map one out for you. Not a bad idea. I just think it's funny because it's like Mary Lou's. I growing up in the North Shore, I had never heard of Mary Lou's.
Right.
And I moved down here, and it's like Mary Lou's is like one of the best, in my opinion, despite you drinking Dunkin' Donuts.
I did that on purpose.
Is one of the best. Yeah, well placed, by the way. That was great. It's one of the greatest coffee places ever, but their northernmost point is Quincy as well.
Yeah.
Hey, are you in bed with Mary Lou's now? Is that what this is? Because you refuse to go past Quincy.
I know her. She's
that wouldn't
great.
be a bad team up.
No.
Oh, you do? Well, of course you do.
Yeah, she's runs a good business, but no, I think there's it's like a invisible force field just running through north of Quincy, and we just can't penetrate it. I don't know.
It feels that way.
But I think
the
real reason is, in my mind, is that once you build one place that has some success and people seem to enjoy, and you maybe do a second one of whatever business you're in, you start to get a reputation in a certain area, and people start to know what to expect from you, and know who you are, and word spreads among people that live in that area. Once you go outside the box and open in a place where you've never opened before and people don't know who you are, it's almost like you're starting all over again. You can't rely on your reputation that got you to where you are. You have to kind of prove yourself all over again. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing, because if you can be successful once, you can do it again for sure. But, it's almost like, you stick with what works. And, we try to provide a product that we know the people in this area like. and in return, they pay us a visit, and word of mouth travel. So I think it's just easier and makes more sense to stick with what you know.
Oh, that makes sense. See, now I understand your logic, so it's easy. I'll stop pressuring you for the Route 3 North. I'll let it go.
Yeah, I mean, listen,
But
again,
no,
never say never. We don't know what's going to happen. But
the door's ajar. I like it.
speaking of the North Shore, though,
Yes, sir.
I never go there because you either go to the North Shore, you stay in the North Shore, you stay in the South Shore. There's no crossing over. We all know how that works. I don't have to explain it.
Yes.
But I just recently went to the Kowloon for the very first time.
Oh yeah.
I had never been.
Oh, of course you did. The Andelmans. They live at Kowloon.
Exactly, and that's why I went. So, I
You
loved
met
it.
them there, right? Of course.
I loved it. It was awesome.
Yeah.
It was fun. I went maybe, I don't know, a month ago or something. In the middle of a pandemic, it's like it almost felt like I was in Vegas or something. Flashing lights everywhere, waterfalls, animated things. I'm like, what is going on? Like, but it was awesome. It was so fun. Food was great.
Did you get the
I
saugus
got
wings?
the saugus wings. I thought they were very,
Of course you
very
did.
good.
Of course you
Very
did.
good.
Yeah, they are good.
So my little foray into the North Shore worked out pretty well. But I didn't recognize anything. I'm going over the bridge. I think it was the Tobin Bridge. I'm like, is this thing gonna collapse on me? Like, what is going on? Why is it rusted?
Yeah,
You know?
don't ask questions. Just
Yeah.
don't ask questions. You don't
Yeah.
want the answers to. Just
Yep.
let it be. It works. But is that how often do you get up there? Are you always North South Shore, or do you only go up there for a reason? Because I go both because I lived up there, so I have friends up there. I visit.
I never go north ever. I go to Boston all the time. Yeah, I go to Boston
Yeah.
all the time, but that's as far north as I go. I'm not a skier, so it's not like I'm driving through the North Shore to get to like New Hampshire or anything like that. I'm much more like a summer type, activity person. So I love to go south. I love to go to like Newport, Rhode Island, or I love going to New York, things like that. But so I never go north. My last any real time I spent in New York City was I dated a girl in high school from Everett, which was horrifying.
I didn't want to say it, but you did, so that's good.
I don't know what I was thinking. I grew up in Halifax, which is a really tiny little farm town in the middle of nowhere on the South Shore, but I went to BC High, so I had that kind of city exposure. And you just meet people from different schools because you're not isolated to your district on your hometown. And somehow I met her, and then spent a lot of time in Everett, and man, talk about a culture shock coming from Halifax.
Yeah, right? Yeah, seriously, that's amazing. I was surprised you got out alive.
Me too. I made it though.
Have you gone there to the casino?
I have. I've been there. Actually, yeah, I guess that's technically Everett, but
it is.
But it's
Everett.
so close to Boston. I mean, it's right on the line. So if I got in trouble, I could run really fast onto the Boston side. Yeah,
you could. You definitely could.
Yeah, I've been to the casino once or twice. I think twice. But again, let's go back to the restrictions real quick.
Yeah, sure. Why not?
Talk about double standards and two sets of rules again. So when restaurants, actually, this rule is still ongoing. Restaurants are not allowed to serve alcohol without food. Casinos can.
Oh.
Think about it. You're going to go to a blackjack table. You want a beer. They give you a beer. Not so at restaurants. You go into a restaurant and you're waiting for a table and you want a beer. You're out of luck.
That's true. That must be house rules because they want you drunk while you're gambling.
The fact that absolutely, that's why. But the fact that they're allowed to do it and we're not, it's again, where's the science behind that?
In the green,
exactly. It's arbitrary. It's completely arbitrary. Which is again, restaurants should never have been restricted to this extent in the first place. But it's really frustrating for me because I don't just take what I'm told and accept it. I actually do my own homework, and I know a lot of other people do too. It's not just me. But to see the writing on the wall and see all this stuff and then also be restricted to the capacity we were, I'm like, this doesn't make any sense. If I'm going to do the legwork and try to understand things on my own and look at the numbers and follow the science, it didn't add up to me. And it was like I was slamming my head against a wall, and it's not a good feeling.
Yeah, right. Now, did you show your hands when you said you're at the blackjack table? Is that what you did at the casino? Are you a blackjack guy?
I am a blackjack guy. I like blackjack.
Okay.
Yep.
Did you walk away in the red or the black? Can you say?
You know what? I was visiting. I stopped in there for maybe an hour. So I think I probably
That's what they all
lost or broke even or whatever. But because if you're really going to make any money, it's all about you got to wait it out. You got to wait for the hands, to make your money. You got to have an opportunity to double down or split or, that's how you make your money over time and, increase your bets at the right opportunity and all that. So I didn't have time to, but I love blackjack. I think it's fun. I can spend, 6 hours at a table. It's so fun.
Have you done that before?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
You spent 6 hours at a
Yeah, I
table?
have.
Were the Endelmans
No,
involved?
they weren't. They weren't.
Did you ever do their food poker, whatever it's called? I know a guy, Costa, from All Star Sandwich and All Star Pizza in Cambridge, and they do this thing where I forget what they do, but it was on Phantom. They try. I forget how they decide who's going to pay the bill, but I think it's credit card roulette. I think
Oh
they
yeah.
call it. Did you ever get involved in those games with
No,
them,
I didn't.
or was that just for the show? Was it just for the show? Do you know?
I don't. I
Have
don't.
you?
I don't know about it.
Oh, okay.
That sounds like something they
Oh,
would do
okay.
though. but but no, I haven't. But I love casinos. I mean, I like to go to Mohegan Sun in Connecticut.
Yeah.
It's I don't know. It's big, but it's like not as massive as Foxwood. It's smaller. I feel like it's a little cleaner. I just feel comfortable there, and so I haven't been in a while since the pandemic started. But first chance I get, I think that's where I'll go. I miss having something to look forward to. Anything. It's just we've all been in this daze for a year, and it's awful. I mean, my life right now is basically work, and then go home, and then do it again, and then I maybe throw in like a dinner out at a local restaurant every once in a while, but nothing big. I mean, I've done nothing for the past since March. It's awful.
Quick story about Mohegan
Yeah.
Sun. Before the pandemic, I think it was the second or third week in March. Um, my friend and I, Larry Burns, who actually sponsors the show, we had tickets to go to some MMA fights, Bellator, in Mohegan Sun on Friday night, and he called me Thursday, and he was miserable. He's like, "I can't go. My work wants me to get quarantined for 2 weeks. If I come back, if I do, I can't work." But so I'm like, "Oh, all right." I was planning on going by myself, and then everything just went boosh, and they canceled the shows, and it worked out well. But it just that was my last experience. I was supposed to be at Mohegan like that Friday night, and it just didn't work out.
Yeah, I mean, I think
But
that happened to me too. I was supposed to go to Aerosmith at
nice.
at Fenway Park in September,
Yes,
and of
yes.
course that got nixed. So supposedly it got postponed to this coming September, and hopefully it happens. But yeah, I mean, everything got canceled. I mean, it was just tough for everyone, regardless of what you do for a living. It's been not easy, and certainly not fun. So I'm hoping to get back to normal soon, relatively soon. I mean, it's only what month are we in? February, March? What is this? February? Yeah,
Yes.
you lose track of time. But
Exactly.
I'm hoping, we got a little ways to go to get through the cold weather, but I'm hoping that as the weather warms up and all that, the restrictions continue to go away, continue to get better for businesses and for people and their mental health. I mean, that's another thing we don't talk about is, people's mental state, which is important. The virus has taken a toll on that. The education system has taken a huge beating unnecessarily, in my opinion. And, what we're doing to our generation of kids in school is appalling, absolutely appalling. But I'm hoping to get back, hopefully end of summer. I mean, maybe sooner. I just hope we can get back to business, get back to work, get back to fun, get back to life.
Yeah.
Can't live
Yeah.
scared.
Now you you got to live, right?
Yeah.
Now you mentioned you go out to the local places when you go out to eat sometimes, without giving away locations or anything like that. Like what who do you support? Do you have specific places you go to? Do you know these people, or you just try anything just to spread the wealth? How do you decide?
It's a combination of both. I mean, I think when I go out to dinner, I tend to always go to Boston just because it's almost like a mini vacation. It's like, you get out of the area where you spend, every single day, all day. And I used to I lived in Boston for almost 10 years. I ran restaurants in Boston for a long time. So I go to places where I used to manage or run, or I know the chefs and the owners. I used to work for a guy, Ken Oranger, who owns probably, some of my favorite restaurants in the city. He owns Toro. the Spanish tapas place in the South End, Copa, which is an Italian style tapas place, Uni, which is a Japanese sashimi restaurant. They run great spots, so I go there as much as I can. I also used to work for Barbara Lynch, who owns Number 9 Park and B&G Oysters and the Butcher Shop. I love those restaurants. So I certainly feel comfortable there, but I also think their food and service is awesome. It's fun. I love Asian food, so any chance to go to like a cool sushi place in the city is fun. But yeah, I
Favorite
head
sushi
to
roll?
Boston a lot.
Yeah. What's your favorite sushi roll? You can only have one. What is it?
That is so tough.
I know.
Let me think.
I ask the tough questions.
I like. I think it's called different things at different places. It's like it has like torched salmon on top, so it's like
Really?
it has like a little bit of crunch to it, but it has the chilled aspect plus the torched option. I don't know if it's like a Phoenix roll or I forget, but it's so good.
Sounds like a Phoenix roll.
I also like unagi, the like the warm eel, which is awesome.
The guy from Karate Kid?
Yeah, exactly. But people get scared by eel. It's like, no, it's just try it. You would never even know. It has like the sweetness to it. It's really good. I like sashimi better than sushi.
What's sashimi?
Sashimi is just raw fish.
Sashimi,
yeah.
Oh.
It's just raw fish, no rice, nothing.
Isn't that what sushi is?
Sushi's the roll.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
with the rice and the usually the wrapping around it, like a California roll is sushi. Sashimi is just like a piece of like raw salmon or whatever, and you can add soy sauce or wasabi or whatever, but it's really good. My favorite sushi restaurant in Boston is probably Dozo, which is on Dartmouth Street, right next to right as you're heading into Copley Plaza. It's right next to the Prudential Mall. They're awesome. But yeah, I don't really eat out on the South Shore a whole lot. Like I said, just because I like to escape every once in a while. I did just go to a friend of mine, Luca. So Luca is a new restaurant, fairly new, probably a year plus, in Rocklands that took over the old Bella's spot.
Yes,
and
Bella's, sure.
They have Luca in the North End and Back Bay, I think.
I live in Abington. I drive by that all the time. I live in Abington, so I drive by the Luca all the time.
Yeah, so they're friends of ours and great guys, and I thought it was awesome. I thought they did a great job. I went maybe a month ago, and it was awesome. I thought the food was great, service was great. They did a great job with the remodel on the inside. I know they put a lot of money into it, but I had a great time.
Are you going to dabble into the sushi? Do you have sushi in any restaurants?
Not currently.
Or do you not? Or do you not?
Not currently, but it's funny you mentioned that. So my father, back, I want to say maybe like 15 years ago, maybe even 20. I mean, it's been a while. We've gone through like various iterations of Bay Point in Quincy. We've done so many different things there over the years. It's been there for like 22, 23 years. At one point, he put a sushi guy, like right in the middle of the dining room. And on display and like doing like sushi, like, in the dining room and, serving it. And his food was amazing, but I think people didn't expect it. They're like, well, this is an American restaurant, but there's a random sushi guy in the dining room.
Oh,
so it was popular. I mean, people liked it, but like, it wasn't like a huge draw because it was like so unexpected that we would do something like that. But he did great work. And now he actually, I'm pretty sure it's the guy who owns, if my memory serves me, I think he owns Sushi Joy in Plymouth. So I think he went on to do that. But so that's the last time we had sushi. We don't do any sushi now, and we haven't in probably 15, 20 years, but I wish we did.
42. Why not?
You never know. We have the fish, so it's a lot of like specific technique, though, that not a lot of cooks and chefs are familiar with. So if you're going to do it, you have to do it right or bring somebody in who knows what the hell they're doing. Because the last thing you want to do is serve an ugly sushi roll. It's all about presentation, temperature, following specific ingredients. It's you got to know what you're doing.
Yeah. Do you do the wasabi? Oh, no, I'll talk while you drink. There you go.
I always do the wasabi. I love anything spicy, anything hot. I love hot sauce. Like, I put hot sauce on everything, as the commercial says, but I don't use that.
That should be a commercial, right?
I don't use that brand. So yeah.
Oh, you don't?
No, I don't use Frank's Red Hot. No.
What do you use?
I
Can
try
you say or
everything.
no?
My favorite right now is probably the cheapest hot sauce you can possibly find on the market, but for whatever reason, it's also the best in my opinion. It's called Tapatio, and
Tapatio. Okay.
Tapatio. They sell it at Walmart, believe it or not, and it's like literally like I think it's like $1.50, but
What do you like? What do you love about it so much?
it's the perfect blend of like everything you want in a hot sauce. It's like the consistency of it is perfect. It's not too thick like sriracha, and it's not too watered down like a Tabasco, and it has just the right amount of heat level to it. So it's spicy enough where you know you have hot sauce on your whatever you're eating, but not so spicy where you can't taste the actual underlying food. Because I hate
Wow.
people load up stuff with hot sauce, but then all you taste is the hot sauce. You can't taste the food.
Yeah.
So it's a great consistency. It's great flavor, smoky kind of a little bit, not like a chipotle, but a little bit of smoke to it, probably from the peppers, um, and just the right amount of hotness. It's awesome. It's really good. But to
And it's
answer your
called
initial question,
Tapatio.
wasabi is awesome. Yeah, I love it.
What I learned wasabi the hard way. I took a bunch. I wasn't warned about wasabi, so I lathered it on my piece of sushi, and it was awful. I ended up liking wasabi, but that's not the way to do it. You gotta dab it
Yeah,
on there or whatever you do. But I just went. I was like I treated it like ketchup. Just put it all over the thing and ate
yep.
it. And huge mistake. Huge mistake.
Yeah,
Excuse me.
that's a rookie mistake. But
Yeah, totally.
I've seen people that have no idea what it is, and sometimes they serve it in like it looks like almost like a little green ball, and they're like, "Oh, what's this?" And they just like pop it in. And
Oh,
I don't say anything, of course.
well, you're right. Well, that's exactly that's if they're gonna do it, you gotta let them.
Yeah,
No,
exactly.
that's awesome.
Yeah, but yeah, no, I mean it's the good thing is once we come out of this, hopefully enough restaurants were able to hang on throughout this. I know, a bunch have hung on. Some of them are barely hanging on. Some more are probably going to close because again, we're not out of the woods yet. But I'm really throughout this whole process wishing the best for everyone in the industry, not only the people that I know personally, but everyone. This industry takes a toll on you. It requires a lot of time away from home, from your family. You miss holidays, you miss nights, the times when everyone else is off, you're working. The amount of stress and pressure that comes from the industry is not easy. So anytime someone opens a restaurant and puts their livelihood on the line and their money and takes a chance, it's no guarantees it's going to go well. And then to be handed um, you know decimation on a platter from the state through no fault of their own, it's a hard pill to swallow. It's a hard thing to deal with. So the industry is already tough as it is, with small margins and many ways things can go wrong. And then to be handed the level of restriction we got is tough. So, I always wish the best for every restaurant owner and employee as well. Because again, it trickles down to the employees who didn't deserve this either. But I'm hoping that on the other side, we can get a bunch of restaurants that were able to hang on, and we all get to go out to dinner again and have some awesome sushi or, whatever. But, we got to get there.
And then party at Precinct 10 after 10 o'clock.
Speaking of that, real quick. So at Precinct 10,
Oh yeah,
back in
cool.
March, I had made an announcement because we were initially told the restrictions were going to last 2 weeks. And then they were
Right.
extended, I think, from there another week or two. But I made an announcement on, actually on Phantom Gourmet, actually, that Precinct 10 was going to host a huge industry party for anyone that works in the industry, like restaurant, people that have, had a really tough time, being closed for a month. And, it's been a tough few weeks, but we're going to party in, next week. And, we're all going to come together and it's going to be great. And everyone loved it. Like, oh, that sounds like so much fun. We'll have a DJ, we'll have food. We invited all the restaurants, anywhere, Boston and South. And, if I had to invite North Shore, I would.
No, you wouldn't.
but, but, that's how like caught off guard we were by this, because we had planned to do a huge party, celebrating the end of the restrictions and the lockdown, in like April. And obviously it never happened. So to your point about, anticipating the comeback of, entertainment and fun at Precinct 10, we're really anticipating it. And we're hoping to still pull that party off, whether even if it's a year delayed, we're still looking to pull it off. And, Get back to the good times.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, when you go on your menu on the bottom, there's the Heinz crest. Are you I looked at it the other day. I forget if it said, is it the Heinz Corporation? What is your company?
Yeah, it's Heinz Restaurant Group. So
Restaurant Group.
that
Okay.
logo,
I was way off.
that actually is our coat of arms, except for we put a fork. I think it might be a fork or a knife and a spoon in the hands of those like little gargoyle things.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so those aren't obviously part of the original, but yeah, that color scheme and like everything else is our actual coat of arms. So we took that as the company logo. But it'd be kind of cool though if our actual coat of arms did have the spoon and the fork, because then it was just
you didn't tell us it was. I was just gonna say you kind of ruined it because you told us. I would have bought it.
I know.
I was like, I had to do this because my dad did it. I did it. It's only because of the crest. I totally understand.
Yeah, Seamus did it like 700 years ago.
Yeah. Hey, how do you know when you're in BC? By the way, do you ever think about that? When they say 300 BC, did they know they were 300 BC? How does that work?
It's a good question.
They just thought it was like Tuesday, right? I mean, they didn't know.
That's a good question. That's a really good question.
Yeah. Because we could be in B something else. We have no idea.
Right.
I don't know. Anyways.
Right. No, honestly, I'm going to think about that for the rest of the day.
Yeah, you're welcome.
I'll report back with an answer.
That's right. Well, hopefully in the summer at 42, I'll see you.
I know.
Are you promoting anything as far as like, I know your restaurant, people can look you up. Is there one? I know I looked at stockholders menu and I saw at the bottom they have links to everything else. Is that how it works? Do you put in anything and it shows up, or is it do you just have to go to a specific restaurant?
No, so I mean, you can go to the website of any of our 4 restaurants, and like you just said, at the bottom, if you just scroll to the bottom, there's links to click on all the other restaurants. So no matter which web page you go to, you have access to all the restaurants. I wouldn't say there's anything specific that we're promoting yet because, again,
it's too soon, right?
Yeah, the restrictions are still going on, but I would say the new thing at stockholders is online ordering, which we never anticipated going in that direction because we're not a takeout place. But with the amount of takeout we've done there, we decided to go in that direction. So people can go to our website and just order whatever they want from their computer, and versus calling in. And it's still pickup right now, but we anticipate doing delivery sometime soon from stockholders.
Nice.
Yeah, and then Bay Points, I guess our next big thing is, and hoping we can pull it off because we had to cancel it last summer, was the 4th of July fireworks in Quincy. Because Quincy, being the city of presidents, they deserve to do something big for the 4th of July, but they just don't. Believe it or not, their big celebration is Flag Day. They have fireworks on Flag Day in Quincy, but not the 4th of July. So we met with the mayor several years ago and decided, hey, we'll pay for everything for you if you allow us to do it. And so we did. So we let, every 4th of July for the past 3 years, we've had the biggest fireworks company in New England launch the fireworks off of a barge in the water behind the restaurant. And, you can see it from all different sections of Quincy. It's, I think, the biggest fireworks show on the South Shore. And it's been great, and we're hoping to be able to pull it off again this July 4th, and we'll keep you posted on that.
That's amazing, and you foot the tab on that.
Yeah, we do. It's we do. It's expensive because obviously you're paying for this huge show, but on the flip side, it's great advertising, and we're bringing something to the community that we've been a part of for 20 plus years, and people love it. It's been great, really well received over the past few years, and we're happy to give back.
Tell me it blows away their Flag Day celebration.
I haven't seen the Flag Day one, but I hope so. I hope so.
Yeah, right.
I know that there's a backstory as to why they do it on Flag Day. I'm not exactly sure what it is.
What do you think? Can you give Cliff Notes or something, or we'll know that you're saying it not to hold you to it, but because I'm kind of curious as to what it is.
You know what? I don't even know. I believe there's some kind of a tie to the mayor himself, Mayor Koch, who's a great guy. I think his father was also in politics in Quincy, and like he started the tradition. I think it's like a family lineage. Like, hey, my father did this, so we're going to celebrate it too. And I think it's something like that. I'm not sure, but it seems pretty popular though.
Is that right?
Yeah, it's like a big day in Quincy.
Wow.
Yeah, but we're trying to make the same thing.
Perfect. Absolutely perfect. Are you doing any social media? Do you live off of just word of mouth? Is there anything you can give people? Do you have an Instagram account? Do you have a Facebook
Yeah,
page?
yeah,
How do
yeah. So
you do
we
it?
have all that. I mean, obviously we have the websites, but that for the individual restaurants, and then all the individual restaurants have their own individual Facebook pages. So if you want stockholders, they have their page, 42 North, 42 Degrees North, Bay Point Waterfront Restaurant, and
Oh, I refuse to acknowledge for some reason. Sorry about
I
that.
know, and 310 as well in Weymouth. They all have their own
Yeah, yeah.
Facebook pages, and then on Instagram, we kind of group them all together, so they don't have their own individual Instagram pages, but as the group, it is Hynes Restaurant. It's actually Hynes Rest Group. So Hynes, Hynes, Rest, like abbreviated for restaurant, and group. And that's how you get to
Nice.
us on Instagram.
Very good. I appreciate your time, Eric, and thank you so much. It's very informative, and I hope that you guys get to 100% sooner than you think.
I do too. I do too. So anyway, how you been?
I've been doing great. Just living the dream, working and just waiting to get out and do something. I've got concerts that are
Yep.
like yours. Aerosmith is postponed, so I have a date, but it's just a question of will I be able to get there or not.
Yeah, and
About it.
And to that point that you just brought up, that's why I think that the restaurants that are able to hang on are going to be busier than ever on the other side of all this. I think that the sentiment that you just shared is going to be the sentiment of a whole bunch of people that are just itching to get back to life and having a good time. And I think I'm one of these people that really truly believes that restaurants are going to hit the ground running again. I don't think it's going to be a slow ramp up trying to draw people in. I think people are going to flood these places. And
Yeah.
I guess you could say I'm biased, but I just, as a human and as a person that likes to eat and live a fun life, I'll be there. I'll be going to concerts and restaurants and all those things. And I think that is a much larger contingent of people that agree with me than you would be thinking. And I think restaurants, if they can hang on, are gonna be just fine. But you got to get there because no one's out of the woods quite yet, and just got to wait it out.
Yeah, and to be clear, you'll go there as long as it's not on the North Shore.
Well, I'm starting to tip my toe in the water of the North Shore. I did go to the Kowloon recently.
Yeah.
So nothing happened. I'm still here. And
Yeah, well, so today, anyways.
yes, exactly. So the future is not guaranteed. But
Have you had a roast beef sandwich up
I
there?
never have, and I feel ashamed of myself that I've never had a North Shore roast beef.
They're so good.
I know.
So I've had the luxury of doing. Go ahead.
No, I just said I need to. It's something I need to do.
Oh yeah, because it's the North Shore has the roast beef and the South Shore has the bar pizza.
Right.
And I've had them both, and they're both equally fantastic.
Yeah.
It's great.
I can't wait.
Do you have a favorite? Yeah. This some are better than others, of course, but like Giorgio's in Brockton is the closest I've had to a North Shore beef, but it's not quite there. There's something about it up there. It's just amazing. Just like the bar pies. It's just a small Greek pizza, basically. But they do it right. I have no idea why or how, but they do.
Yeah, I get it.
So
I love the bar. I love the South Shore bar pizza. It's awesome.
Oh, me too. Yeah. What's your favorite one? Where do you go?
I mean, there are several good ones. I mean, my favorite is probably Damien's in Hanson.
Yes, I live close to that. I've been to Damien's. I love Damien's.
Yeah, Damien's is great. What else is good? I mean,
Linwood.
Linwood's good. Cape Cod Cafe, I think, does a good job. But I mean,
it's tough to screw it up, but some people do. But it's tough to make a bad one, I think.
Yeah,
obviously some are better than others, but
right, exactly. I mean, there's a lot of different factors: the cheese you use, the sauce you use, different flavors. I mean, how long you cook it for. I mean, all those things. But living somewhat close to Damien's, I think it's they do a really, really good job. And he's actually my neighbor. I can see his house out this window over here. So
tell him to make you fine.
Yeah.
The greatest thing in the world about Damien's, the first time I walked into Damien's, I sat down at the bar. I was by myself. I was just there to try their pizza because I heard so many great things about it. I sat down at the bar and the woman said, "You want some popcorn?" I went, "Oh, sure, that'd be great." He goes, "All right, it's right over there. Just go grab a bowl."
Yep.
Put it.
Yep.
I was like, "Okay, here we go. That's perfect."
That happened to me too, so I understand. Yeah, I'm like, "Are you sure?"
Sure, I'll do it. Whatever.
Yeah.
So, Oh, that's good, Eric. Again, I do appreciate it. Anything else you want? I'm sorry, I shouldn't just
No,
assume you're
I'm
done.
I got to get ready for work. It's Saturday night.
That's right. That's right. Well, enjoy, and again, thank you so much, and I appreciate your time.
Thank you, George. I appreciate it. It's always good talking to you, and hopefully in a couple months we'll have some great news for everybody, and we'll all be open and back to normal.